Hello, 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 and welcome back to another episode of Real Estate on the Cheap Mini Challenge. Now, in the last episode, we talked about visualization. We've actually gone through one of those processes, and of course, feel free to watch it and listen to it as many times as you want and need. Feel free to imagine your own visualization, but I just wanted to explain it to you what it looked like. It's a very powerful technique to get us excited internally. But now it's time to start thinking through different aspects of what we need to achieve mentally before we dive into how to. Many people want to get into the how to and how do I do this and where do I find this and all these different concepts. And I promise we will talk about it. However, it's important to tackle the number one thing first, and that is our mindset. And that's why we're spending so much time on all of this stuff. And I'm sharing with you different techniques, different knowledge components, science stuff, and everything else to help you get yourself into the gear. Whether you decide that real estate on the cheap challenge is for you and you want to get into it and you want to invest in real estate and that's what you want to do, or you're looking for something completely different, these mind techniques, these mind manifests, these abilities to control our emotions, to control our mind, to professionally and personally grow are key to just about everything we want to do in our lives. So that's what we're focusing so much on it. Now, one of the things that I want to focus on is we've talked about different tools and tips and everything else. We talked about being an active learner. We talked about visualization. We talked about taking action. We talked about all these different techniques. What I want to talk about today is to focus on the haters. Cause the players gonna play, and the haters gonna hate. That's right. Believe it or not, you might have friends, you might have family who are more or less set in their ways. And when you go out there and you start getting pumped about these things and you start thinking about the future and how you want to improve and how you want to change, they might start bringing you down. And I call those people the haters. This is why. Now, imagine this, right? You are in this free course, free challenge, free mini challenge that you're in, and you are starting to tell your friends about it or your family about it, and you're kind of getting all kinds of pumped, and you're like, yeah, I'm watching this guy and I'm getting kind of cool, there's cool things in it, and I'm learning about it, and I'm thinking about it. And then they go like, oh yeah, haven't you seen this guy on YouTube that throws down all of these like gurus and all the. And I'm not saying I'm a guru. I am far from it. I would never call myself a guru. I just happen to be a guy that happened to have figured out some stuff in life, and I want to share it with you and help you. And if that is what I end up achieving, amazing. And if not, then it was lovely to get to know you and spend a bit of time with you. But what you might do is that they might become people that as you start sharing not just what you learned thus far, but what you're going to continue learning, they might say, no, that's never going to work out. I mean, they're the Debbie Downers. And if your name is Debbie, I apologize. It's just a terminology that I've been told exists. So it's not that I am saying that you are the doubter, but that's just the name that people use, right or wrong. I'm just using it because everybody else does. Those are the people that just basically say, oh, that's never gonna work. Oh, now what? You are going to become this like real estate mogul. Ooh, the new Trump is in our house. Right? And so they're going to start making fun of you and picking on you. If you encounter those people and you know that you might have people in your life that are that way, then don't tell them about it, right? Like keep your mouth shut. No need to add more doubt when our brain, as we talked about, is like super protective mother that tells us that we shouldn't do certain things, even though logic says maybe we should at least consider it. You don't want other people throwing in doubts and bringing you down. Here's an interesting thing about people. It's a fact. And the fact is that people are very similar to lobsters. For example, if you were to put a bunch of lobsters in a pot, imagine a giant pot with a bunch of lobsters in it, right? And they're all hanging out there. And you put the pot onto the stove, on the fire, or whatever, and the water slowly starts to heat up. And one of the lobsters goes, "Ooh, it's getting a little bit hot. I should get out of here." The moment that lobster starts to kind of climb up and like figure out the way to get out of the pot, guess what other lobsters do? They grab onto that lobster and pull him down. Now, they are doing that subconsciously, and many of the Debbie doubters, again, if your name is Debbie, I apologize, are doing the same thing. They can't figure out their own way to climb out of the pot and survive and make something amazing from it. So the next best thing they know how to do is yank you down to their level so that they feel just as good as they were before, because everything was handy dandy last time and it's been going fine. And comfort is this amazing thing that we all get to. When we're uncomfortable in any situation, whether that is financially, mentally, emotionally, physically, it doesn't matter. When we're very uncomfortable and we're in pain, we will do just about anything to get out of it. For example, if you're outside and it's really, really, really cold and the wind is blowing and you're freezing and you can't feel your fingers anymore, and every breath that you take like feels like it freezes your nostrils, you will do just about anything to move as quickly as you possibly can, even though your body's like, "I don't think I can do this anymore," to get to a place where you're warm. Once you get to the place where you're warm and you're comfortable and you have your popcorn and favorite TV show on the screen and you have your favorite drink, whatever that might be, you're like, I can stay this forever, right? So our mind already operates that way, and many people have hard time with change, even if that change is for the good. So for example, we all know that it's very good for us to go and work out, but it's not always easy for many of us to do it. Sometimes we don't have time. Sometimes it's just like, right, like it's too heavy. I'm getting out of breath. Like, what the hey? I don't, no, 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 I don't want to do this. I want to sit and be comfortable. Here's the interesting fact. The folks that actually go out and start exercising on regular basis actually become very comfortable exercising on regular basis. They get there by doing certain things. Investors, they get uncomfortable first when they start doing it, but as they invest more, they become comfortable doing it and they feel comfortable continuing to do it. Same thing with everything else. It turns more or less into a habit. You probably guessed it, right? It becomes a thing that you just do, right? What do coders do? They code. What do runners do? They run. What do athletes do? Well, they athlete, right? No, they don't athlete. They do work out. They do things that they enjoy doing. But some people have naturally have set certain abilities to be able to do stuff. Some people is more of, I want to change from where I am currently to where I want to be. And in order to do that, I have to take particular set of actions. When we talk about getting into investing and looking into real estate, is that we have to do certain things. One, of course, we can start looking for real estate. That's going to take a little bit of time to find all the deals. The other one, we're going to have to start thinking about our money and kind of how we're going to do this. Third, we're going to have to start thinking about different strategies and what are the things that I should know, should avoid, should do, should not do. There's a lot of shouldn't around that we're going to be doing. But the thing is that whenever you're looking to change from where you are right now to where you want to be, you have to take action. For example, here I am right now recording this for you and for myself as well, right? And if I wanted to, say, be on the beach somewhere, well, I'm going to have to stop doing this and get my gear and get into my car or the plane and walk, and I'm going to have to do certain things. Now, what happens with the haters is because they don't always feel as comfortable with where they are in their life. And as they say, misery loves company. Let me tell you, misery wants you to continue being their company. The moment that you're saying, well, wait a minute, my life is not as perfect, my life is not as great, and there are things that I can do, and I can change things, and I can move about, and I can learn more things, and I can grow, and I can develop, and I can start new things and try new things. Some of these folks are going to be petrified. Not because you might not succeed, even though that's what they're going to say to you. They're going to be petrified that you will succeed, that you will move on. And where does that leave them? Misery stays alone because company left. And company is you, in case you're wondering, right? So that's the reason why they do it. Now, most of the time, they will use logic or emotion in order to get you to understand where they're coming from, and they have your best interest at heart. And yes, I actually believe that they do have their best interest at heart, but I also want you to understand that all of us, me included, you included, have one most important person in the world, and that's us. Science has built us that way so that we can actually survive in whatever environment is coming our way. And we're always going to be looking for number one. And remember, number one is us. So for me, if I am a type of person, I'm like, I'm not into personal development, I'm not into personal finance and trying to figure things out. I'm not, right? Like, I'm fine where I am. I'm comfortable. I may not have the best job. I may not be the happiest, but you know what? I go in and I collect my paycheck every Friday, and it's just enough to afford whatever place that I'm in. And I have this truck thing that I have, and I have my favorite beer, and I watch my football games, and that's great. That's all I know. I don't want it to change. And then I have my best friend who is talking about these crazy things of like, I want more out of life, and I want to move on up, and I would like to travel, and I would like to change my life, and I would like to find opportunities where I can make more money and all these different things. And I start to be like, wait a minute, if you do that, like, who am I going to watch the games with? Like, what are you talking about, homie? Like, you crazy. What you talking about, Willis? Right? So they will start doing things sometimes knowingly and sometimes subconsciously to actually start bringing you down, to make you doubt yourself. So what do we do with haters? We don't hate them back, right? Don't do that. It's not going to serve any purpose. Just simply, as shared before, don't share all of this stuff. You can test the waters and say, hey, I'm trying new things and may or may not be crazy. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out. But, here's kind of what I'm thinking. You can test the waters and see how they feel. And if they feel like they're supporting you and saying, you know what, good for you. Like, keep on trying, keep on doing stuff. Win, lose, succeed, fail, it doesn't matter to me. Like, I got your back 100%. That's amazing. You want to keep those people around you. But as you start moving on up and start succeeding in certain things, and you see people that are doubting you, putting you down, making fun of you for that. I mean, right? Like, how many of us have had, I know, for example, like high school, maybe college for you, or maybe even after college, you find a person that you get like very excited about and you've been dating for a while, and like, I'm thinking about getting, moving in together or getting married or whatever. And what did I do? They were like, why would you want to do that? Like, because they feel that they're about to lose their friend. Not that they are not happy necessarily for you, they are just sad for themselves. So similar things happen when we start improving our lives, whether through investing, through personal development, relationships, emotional growth, spiritual growth, whatever it is that is important to you, you will undoubtedly, not doubtedly, undoubtedly find people that are haters. So here's a couple of things to do. One, if this person is important to you for whatever reason, right? Maybe you grew up together, maybe it's your parent, maybe it's your spouse, maybe it's your kid, right? Maybe it's somebody that like saved your life, literally speaking, or somebody that you feel really deep connection with, and they are the hater, which I know potentially is hurtful to say at this moment. Simply don't talk about these topics with them. It's that simple. It's that easy. Keep doing your thing and keep it to yourself. Use the journal, find the people that are similar to what you want to do and similarly align, have similar ideas and interests so that you can start building a community around yourself, whether that's through virtual methods or through in-person methods. It doesn't really matter. The second one is that if this person is not as important to your life, you might need to say goodbye to them. Now, I'm not saying write them a Dear John letter, right? I'm not saying, ooh, you hate her, so I'm out of here. You don't need to go that drastically into dealing with it. It's simply that as you stop sharing some of the things and you keep going your thing, keep doing your thing, and they keep doing their thing, eventually at some point, your paths will start to separate more and more, where not necessarily that you're no longer friends, it's just that you're not spending as much time with them. I get it. Easier said than done. And I know you're going to come up with 10,000 excuses of why this will never work in your life. But here's the thing, every successful person that has ever done anything with their life has had to say goodbye to some folks. Some folks were simply just evil spirited, right? I'm sure you've met some of those in your life. Hopefully, you don't call them friends because you've learned by now that they are no longer qualify as somebody to call a friend. But we've all had to grow apart from some folks. And sometimes that happens just because you move and the distance all by itself, or life takes us in different path and different direction. And there are many people in my life that we were friends at one point. I don't consider them enemies, but we just don't spend not even close to time. Some of the people I'm not even in touch with years and years and years later, just because our paths are in different spaces, in different geographical locations. We have different passions, we're enjoying different things. And just when we get together, it's not necessarily that we're evil to each other. We're very civil and we have a good time, but we don't have a lot in common to do or hang out with. And so time is not necessarily as enjoyable. With some people, I still keep in touch and we still have a great time. We may not be aligned on all of the things, and I just don't talk about those things with them. We talk about other stuff that we have in common, that we enjoy, that we're going to continue to build and grow our friendship. So here are the things that hopefully are helping you of how do you deal with some of the people that are going to bring you down. And the simplest thing, again, easier said than done, but you can do it. If so many people before you have done it and they have no special abilities, none of us are born with the special gifts and stuff. I mean, yes, some of us are a bit more gifted than others and we have, higher IQ or higher EQ or both or whatever, right? Like we have some obstacles and challenges, and all of us are very unique, just like snowflakes, or as I like to say, just like real estate, we're all unique. We've all had to deal with times dealing with people that are doubting us, that are not supporting us. Now, part that becomes a bit more challenging is if that doubter or unsupporter or hater, depending which word you want to use, ends up being your life partner or your spouse or your parent that you're dependent on, or maybe they're depending on you. That can be a bit more challenging. So if we're talking about spouses and significant others and life partners, I think it's important to start having conversations about the journey and where you want to go together. Because I've seen it too many times where people get together and they start having different aspirations, different goals, different dreams, different things that they want to do, and they start growing apart. And if there's a person that is important to you, I think it's important to bring them along. Now, I'm not saying you need to force them into it, but to have conversations and explain from your heart and from your mind of why doing something like this is important to you. I hope that this is helpful to you. Until next time, stay forever money blessed. And do remember, you are only one deal away.